What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we put the real in reality or whatever.
Period, mama.
Period, mamas. I'm your host, Pharaoh. We're joined by our wonderful co-host, Lee, and today we'll be talking about the reunion of Love is Reunion. Were you fucking with it, or you wasn't fucking with it?
I was fucking with it. I was definitely fucking with it. It had its cute moments and it had its very, very bland moments. Like, I don't know. I feel like you have more opinions on it than me, honestly.
I didn't fuck with it. It was mid for me. I wasn't liking it. I didn't know half the people because this is my first time watching. But it's like when you're making a reunion, you got to consider that. Like some people, they've only seen this season, they've only seen 2. So there was like 10 people on stage or on a section of the stage. I didn't know none of the niggas. Didn't give a fuck about their opinions. They were asking for their opinions. Didn't care. Leo and Brittany had a section that was cute. They was on the season, but I didn't care.
I mean, honestly,
like
the Leo and Brittany section wasn't needed. There were a lot of portions that were not needed. I feel like overall, as a reunion, I feel like I got what I needed. Because, we were saying over the phone, like you were mentioning how it just felt like some things weren't, you didn't get to the roots of some issues. You didn't get like a resolution. I feel like I've watched a lot of reality TV shows and a lot of reunions. It's usually just them arguing over shit that we've already seen. So I feel like I got what I needed out of most of the couples, but I personally also did not enjoy the opinions from the peanut gallery. Like, I'm sorry. I even know AD from last season because I watched last season, but I didn't really need that update. And I do apologize to any Love is Blind fans out there. Maybe it's because we're just not Love is Blind fans. Like, can someone please let us know in the comments? Like,
were you gagging to see the girls?
Did y'all like to hear from them? Like, did y'all find that interesting? Because I didn't care about no marriage, no shade. I didn't care about no baby. It's no shade. I didn't care about none of that. Like, none of that at all. I just feel like if it's a reunion for this season, let's focus on the season. All of that extra could have been in some Love is Blind special somewhere else. Like, maybe we get that on the next time. Okay.
Yeah. And then I also feel like I wanted them to, I don't know, I heard that there was some tea with the host and that they used to be a little bit more intentional with the questions and that they got some backlash that they didn't do that no more. But for me, I like reunions because this is like, I feel like the content between the cast is on par with typical reunions. It just depends on the host. Sometimes the host will guide the conversations or they'll add some input and kind of get down to the gritty. I feel like they did like one question. They got some important questions in, but differently with that. But hey, we move. I was not a fan of that, but we move.
And then some people in the chat, they all saying it too. Look, I've seen all of the seasons and I could not care less. Their time has passed. Not really. They were just fillers. Nancy, Marshall, Jessica, be for real. No one cares. Y'all are sending me because that's how I felt. Didn't give a damn. Didn't give a single fuck at all.
Literally. Am I cutting in and out?
For me, you cutting in and out, but I can't tell.
I'm in the ghetto.
Can the audience let us know who's cutting so we can try to fix that?
I'm in the ghetto. I think it's me.
It could be me.
I think it's me. This ghetto ass Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. Is it the rain? This is why I don't fucking like. I was telling Lee, I fucking hate this weather in this season. Ugh.
I can't stand the rain.
Yeah. Against my window. Yeah, Pharaoh will cut it, but okay. Well, let me lock in before I start cutting again. So yeah, we could just get into the details, child.
Yeah, girl, you may reset the router if it gets too bad.
Yeah. Okay, boom. So we started the reunion off. We had a cute little conversation with the people who got married. So we talked to Garrett and Taylor. They were just talking about how they were happy. We wrapped back around to them later. So I'm gonna save them for last since they're
the real lovers. Okay.
No shade. But first we had to address the situation with Tyler and Ashley that we've all been talking about. They kind of asked, they basically asked, they were like, look, Tyler, you told her about these sperm donor babies. What is the realty on the sperm donor babies? Because there's been some more information that has came out. What are your thoughts on that? And Tyler was basically like, well, what was happening was I was helping a friend and I was being a good friend. And the only person who needed to know the details of this situation was Ashley and those kids over there and that lady over
and that
there
family
and that
and those
family.
kids.
I
It's
hope that family and those kids are
crazy.
good. They shouldn't be brought into this. Damn.
To me, I think his story corroborated the information that we have because he claimed that he was helping a friend. He said that the friend he was helping got left in her relationship. So basically, when that woman left his friend, he stepped in, like he was the father that stepped up. So he's saying things like, you'll see me with pictures with kids and my friends' kids and things like that. I was just stepping up and I was being there for a friend. But the tea we hear on the streets is that he was helping this couple behind his own fiance's back. And then he and that friend, that really close friend, started having an intimate relationship and he gave her 2 more children. Now, it's allegations, but a lot of people who are involved in that situation has come out against Tyler and has stated that he was active in these children's life. He did have a relationship with the mother of those children, and he was actively trying to build something with them, even right up before going on the show. To this day, they are still coming out on social media in interviews saying that he left them and he was supposed to clear things up and he's not clearing anything up. And apparently he owed all types of child support and things like that.
But Lee,
it's a lot. It's a lot.
But Lee, who do you think knows more information? The internet or Ashley?
And Ashley is just
Birdly got on this stage.
There's nothing I can do for Ashley. Ashley is because Ashley, you could tell by the energy she presented at the reunion. She feels comfortable in her relationship. She feels true in her man. She does not believe the lies. And she feels like her and her man are going to drive off in the sunset together. Okay? Everyone else is just being a hater because they're mad that she has her man. And, everyone needs to just, stop trying to disrespect her intelligence, like she said.
Yes, of course.
He did not know.
He didn't want all of that on camera, so of course we had more conversations, and I just feel like it was disrespect to my intelligence as a person to assume that I didn't know the information. Of course, I knew all of the information.
But my thing is, why did they think that was the gotcha? Why did they think, oh, I knew? Okay, now
I knew all the information.
Even more dumb. I was helping you out, Ashley, by saying, "Girl, you didn't know all the facts." I still don't think she know all the facts. Let's be honest.
She has the opinion.
She's believing the truth that he's telling.
But what are you gonna believe? The internet
or your
man? Ashley?
No, that's her man
or her man.
It was so weird, and then she got into the story about how. Oh, he lost his mother when he was young, and then he was not able to. I don't even know what the fuck she was trying to say, honestly.
Yeah. She was trying to say that because he was raised by a single mother, he was being such a good person by helping his single mother friend, even though because she had left her wife. So he just had it in his heart. He could not help a single mother raise the kids that he just so happened to have
anything
with her. Like,
girl, and this is the definition of I am going to stand by my man.
And this is my thing. What annoys me is I like when people are real through their rights and their wrongs, and they're just real. Me personally, if I decided to be a bird like Ashley, which I rebuke, hopefully that never happens.
I don't know. You were defending her.
I rebuke it though. I don't want it to happen. But this is the thing. If I were to ever be a bird and it would be televised and I were to come on stage, I'm a weird person. I'm very different. I don't necessarily need to defend myself. I would have got up on that stage. They would have asked, does Tyler have these other babies? And I'd be like, even if Tyler does have a whole nother family, I don't care. He's with me now. Period. I would have rather her been a real ass queen and stood on business. He has a whole nother family. He told you about it. You know the real tea, and you don't give a fuck. Fuck that family. I'm his family now. I'm his family,
and that's basically what it is.
And that's what the truth. I think that's the truth. I think she even knows I do think he told her the full and honest truth. I think she knows that he raised them kids. I think she knows that them kids was living in his house, and I think they rehearsed over a year.
They definitely rehearsed, because there was one moment where they were mentioning a situation where she asked him on camera, "Did the kids know what you look like?" And on camera, he said, "No, I don't believe they do." And she was like, "That's because he didn't want to talk about it on camera. We already discussed off camera that he was involved in their life." So I'm like, why were you asking questions that you knew
they
he
were
didn't want
rehearsing
to answer on camera? It's just weird. Like, now I'm questioning, did you really know, or do you just, now all this shit is coming out, you want to seem like you were in on it? Like, mama, it was definitely a half truth. He had to have told her a half truth, because I can't imagine she would stay if she knew the whole truth. I think to this day he's still lying, but overall she's definitely accepted him for all of his wrongs. Like, I think, because even if he is telling a half truth, he's still kind of fucked up in the situation, and she just doesn't care.
I'd respect her more if she really just didn't give a fuck that he had the kids. Right? From what she's claiming, she's basically claiming that we don't know all the information and them wasn't his kids, and what he's saying is the truth. And that makes her seem like a stupid bird. I would rather her genuinely know the genuine truth and genuinely not give a fuck. Because then it's like, okay, at least you know the truth and you don't care. Right now, it seems like you're getting snowed when the entire world is, and his entire world and his kids are being aired out by the people who are involved, and you still pretending that, or you still genuinely believe him. Girl, please, it don't even make sense. So that was very, very embarrassing, and it's never no shade. So that's their situation. They're still married. It's been a year.
They're still married. I honestly don't want them to have a successful marriage, I'll be honest. But I low-key am leaning towards the fact that they will be sticking together, because if she's able to ignore all of his wrong ways, then she's going to continue to do that and stay with him.
I agree. I think they're staying together for a while. I think they're going to stay married for a long while. I think this is going to be a successful marriage. And I do think, like the exes were saying, his baby mamas were saying, they were like, he's a great father. He's a great husband. When he's being a companion, he's great. So I do think he's going to treat her good until he treats her bad. And when he treats her bad, she's going to be the type, it's going to be years later. I was telling Lee this. I was like, I think he's going to really eat this up. Like, I think he's a master manipulator. He's going to stay with her long enough and do good long enough to where whenever he does do bad, she's going to be too deep in. They're going to have 3 kids. She's going to be in the marriage, like locked in, and she's just going to want to stay with him regardless. So I think they're going to stay together for a while. And
I mean, and I just feel like it's going to obviously come up again, because at the end of the day, they haven't addressed this for real. Like, this is an issue, like, about his character, and you're not allowing him to grow from it, because you're basically coddling him in it. And once he does it again, it's like, you cannot stay, because he is going to be basically confirming the person that everyone was already saying he was. But I mean, clearly she's a bird. So
there you go.
And she knew. She was told.
I agree with NC in the chat. NC says if Vanessa was any kind of host, well, no, I don't know what her reprimand she's had. I feel like she's had reprimands, but they said, why didn't she ask Ty, why did you put your name on the birth certificate for the donor babies? Why were you in the custody for the exactly? That was my issue with this reunion.
At least be like, well, the streets are talking and they're saying, I don't know.
Because my issue was, they let Tyler and Ashley answer, and then they moved on and never readdressed it. And it's like, there should have been a little bit more. Y'all only asked one question. Y'all literally, the host literally asked one question. Tyler gave his answer, his PR answer. Ashley gave her PR answer, and we moved forward. And it's like, for a reunion, for me, there should have been a little more there. I wish there would have been a pushback or more of a question of, so have we gotten in contact with the, like, something. Ashley, Ashley, did you ever want to talk about the connect? Like, is he ever going to talk to them? Does he have to pay child support? What, like, something? I just feel like some type of question.
Gave Jerry Springer when they bring out.
I would have loved that.
We bring out the ex and the children. Well, Tyler, we have your baby mother and your 3 children in studio today. Can you come on the stage? Like, that's what
I needed that.
And ask the source. I want ask the kids, is this your father?
Right. Do you know this man? Like, I just feel like we needed something else. We needed something else. But hey, they ended it here, and then we didn't hear anything else about it, and that's it. And it's like, okay, let's move forward, I guess.
This Dominique, they asked more questions to the AD.
Girl, And I didn't listen to not one of the questions because I don't know who that is.
And I actually know who AD was, but I still didn't give a damn. I'm like, why are we asking AD what she feels about it?
What's tea on Tyler? And then that's another thing I hated. Why aren't we asking the other cast members? This situation, Ashley answered, Tyler answered, they moved on. You could have, even if you didn't want to pry because Vanessa, they got in your ass on being wrong the last time you pried, you could have at least asked other cast members, okay, Taylor, you and Ashley had a very close relationship throughout the season. How did you feel when you watched this back and saw that Tyler had kids? Boom! That would have been, I should have been on the stage. That was a good ass question.
I will say, and their involvement in the show isn't that big, so I don't mind them. But as like quote unquote host, I'm not feeling them. Yeah. What are their names? Nick and
Vanessa. I just need something. Just something. Like y'all went through this experience. How would y'all have felt
a nice messy gay to host?
They needed a gay. They needed a gay.
Look, like Ashley and Williams in the chat. Andy Cohen.
Yep.
Look at Andy Cohen. Gave very much Housewives reading. We asked the real shit around here.
Yeah.
I didn't love
them. Classy, but a little bit trashy. Like I need to get into the real tea. Like I need to be an interviewer. I really need a talk show or something because I love a good interview question, bitch. Like y'all could have asked him anything. What the fuck? So, anyways, boom. We move forward. Then we got to them. They stressed me the fuck out. Marissa's and Ramses.
Ramses. That's the thing. I wish we had unpacked more here. It's crazy that the most we saw of Marissa talking was in Hannah and Nick's relationship.
Yeah.
Mama, when it comes to your own relationship, it's crickets on the stage. They were saying everybody on you. And I feel bad. I feel bad because I did feel bad for Marissa. I did feel bad for Marissa. But then when I saw the way she defended Hannah, I was just like, well, maybe your energy is
maybe it was deserved.
Maybe your energy is too but I don't know. I just didn't like that. I didn't like that. But sticking to Marissa and Ramsey's situation, I do feel bad for her in the situation. I do because I just feel like Ramses is full of shit. I feel like he's full of shit. Up there looking like goddamn Beetlejuice.
Damn. I do think Ramses is full of shit, but And I feel bad for Marissa for the situation. I do. I'm conflicted. So basically, they bring back up Ramses. What the fuck happened? Because y'all made it to the day of the marriage and you left. He says, well, throughout the experiment, I had been noticing that we were just getting further and further away when it came to our energy levels, and I just knew that if I would have stayed with her, I would have felt exhausted staying with her.
And he said it again. Can he stop saying that? Do you not understand how fucking rude
Lee, you exhaust me.
You exhaust me. And it's crazy because this is what our friend said. Our friend said what the real tea was, she was on her period and he wasn't getting no ussy for a few days. And then he had some post-nut clarity and was like, I don't really like this girl like that for real. And then the relationship came tumbling down. Yep. That's what the hell happened. Because it wasn't until the whole contraception condom.
He said he never put out an ultimatum for the contraception, y'all. That's just fake news.
Please, but maybe that's not the case. Because Marissa said out her own mouth they were still fucking after the show.
They were still fucking after the show.
Now this man then tore you down on national TV,
and then tore it up.
Mom. I know,
as he should.
And that's my thing is the real gag. I might understand
carrying me up. I fear.
Like, I might understand Marissa because I know it's good. I know
them
it's
two
good.
Dreadlocks dangling in your face. Oh,
but I just feel like, girl, like
stand up. That's how you feel. Stand up.
Definitely stand up. And I just don't understand why like there was no energy almost towards Ramses, but then later in the episode. There's so much towards Nick. And I guess I can go ahead and read that now since we're on Marissa. Yeah. She posted to her story because the girls were dragging Marissa because she had got up in their business.
Deserved.
And she posted, she said, I show up every day as my authentic self. I make mistakes, say the wrong things, and sometimes stand by the others who may not deserve it. Because authenticity matters more to me than creating an image. At the reunion, I came without resentment towards Ramses or anyone else. For those who suspected me to go off, know that I will always handle things my way. We've had many conversations since our breakup, and I wish him well. As for Nick and Hannah, I've never justified her treatment of him. Watching the season, I was as surprised as anyone. On stage, I addressed specific comments Nick made. Blah, blah, blah. She says, I'm no Billy. I simply said what others wouldn't say when the camera started rolling. But I just feel like, girl, we're at the reunion. Even if you and Ramses did discuss it off camera, that's the problem. All y'all shit is off fucking camera. And that's why it really pisses me off, because I can't really even dissect what the issue is, because I feel like every issue they've had was off fucking camera. But even here, it's like she still had a vulnerable moment when they were talking about it, because he is still, sticking by some of the things he said about like her being exhausting and things like that. So it's just like, I feel like she's healed from it, but like clearly she hasn't let that portion go.
I feel like she should have just pressed him a little bit more. He did end up explaining. I think he made sure to explain every piece of his point, because he did say, I do apologize. I wish I would have cut it off earlier. I'm glad I didn't go to the altar. It was this from this point of the ons in the pods. I thought I was feeling this way, but I wasn't. He was definitely trying to explain his case. And Marissa Mama came and stepped up, and she was like, what'd she say? She was like, oh, I tried not to slap him across his face because I went up to him after the situation. And he's like, yeah, and I told you. So he was trying to be very clear and cut and clean with all of his perspectives. He wanted to come out looking good for sure. But I wish Marissa would have pressed him the way she was pressing other people. It made her seem weird, because you just got played in your face and you was on mute. And then when someone else, first of all, you were defending the wrong person in most people's opinion. And then you had all this press for the wrong person. And it's like, you need to be worrying about Ramses playing in your fucking face for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But hey, we move.
But the whole excuse from Ramses saying things like their energies just were not off, and he felt like it just wouldn't work long term, like that, I just feel like it's just BS. Like I hate an excuse like that, because it's like, what mystical being are you that you just can feel these energies and you just felt like they were off? Like, what the fuck is he even talking about?
I thought he meant like the fact that she is very hyper and he's more chill. That's how I had been perceiving it. Like, I have been perceiving like, you're a lot and I'm more relaxed, and you.
But like a lot in what way?
Like always on go. Like you're a go getter. You're always out here. You're there, and then you're planning, and then do da da da. And for him, he's unemployed. He doesn't like working. He doesn't want to hear about the plans for the wedding and when we're gonna get the venue. He wants to sit there with his locks.
And have no condom sex.
And have no condoms. That's all he wants to do and go fuck. He's a primate. Damn. I didn't mean that, but I think he's a very simple creature in the sense that he doesn't give a fuck about all that. And Marissa is a regular adult. No shade. I'm not trying to be shady, but I'm just saying Marissa is more so, I'm getting shit done. I'm going to school. I'm going to work. I'm getting shit done for the wedding. Let's do this. And then, we should probably plan this. She's probably the type to plan a dinner. And I think Ramses is just like, I don't want to do anything because I'm a lazy bum. And so when he talked about energy levels, he's talking about the energy of the fact that she's a grown adult and he's a lazy bum, or hyper versus relaxed, if I want to be nice. And I think that's what he was referencing. And like I said, I did see that in the pods. I was like, Marissa has kind of the same energy as Bowden. Ramsey seems more chill. And I guess he's claiming that that's why he said overwhelmed. He felt overwhelmed by her energy and that it was too much. But I don't know. I don't know.
It just feels. I hate how last minute it feels. And then also, I remember when they had the discussion during the episodes, he mentioned that he was speaking to family, and he didn't mention that here at the reunion. So I just feel like, is there a real pinpointed reason, or did you just get cold feet? And I'm like, if this is a situation where you can just get cold feet and give up, it's like, well,
you wasn't ready to get married.
Why you were here? Like, why were you here?
Yeah, and I wish he would have asked that, because she mentioned that on the show, but he didn't really respond. I wish he would have had the energy she had later in the episode to be like, then why did you come on the show? If you weren't the type to try to work something out, if you didn't know if you could have decided in this amount of time, I don't understand why you came on the show to begin with. You let me know that in your past relationship, there was still stuff you didn't figure out, and then you're coming to terms with it now. If that was the case, why did you come on here and waste somebody's time like me? And she didn't do all that. She didn't have all that energy.
Maybe she said in the Instagram post that they discussed everything before. So maybe she just has her answers. She still.
Why you didn't discuss it with Nick before then?
Oh,
you got his number?
Oh, because they had to. They wanted to embarrass Nick,
and that's the problem. That's the problem. It was all a setup, and it was a setup, because if you could address it with Ramses before, you could address it with Nick before. You could have gotten his number. Y'all were on the same show a year ago, and you still are in contact with multiple different people. Him and Hannah just talked a few months ago, like they said. You could have got his number from Hannah and called him and talked to him about it if you were so concerned. Clearly, you weren't that concerned. The fuck? Because that's a bold-faced ass lie. Talking about, oh, me and Ramses already discussed it, but me and Nick, I just had to. You could have discussed it with Nick before. You discussing everything else before, Queen. I don't know, but
so maybe they just had more time to.
Yeah. Next is Nick and Hannah. Child, and like I thought from social, I hadn't seen a lot of clips. I hadn't seen any clips, but I did see some comments about Hannah, and I've seen Hannah on TikTok, and I thought going in, she took more accountability than she did, because the way she was talking on TikTok, she's like, yeah, like I said in the reunion, I apologize, and I apologize and apologize. Even back then, I thought she was going to be way more apologetic than, because of how she said on TikTok she was going to be. Girl, no, you was still a bitch on the show, like on the reunion. Like that was crazy.
I don't know why she acts like that. Like, it's crazy because she definitely tried to victimize herself in the situation, and it's like, like she honestly could have successfully done it, but she's so much of a bitch that she couldn't help herself. Like she still came out of the situation as the villain while trying to expose Nick for being a bad person. It's like, girl, like you clearly still have not healed from anything that you experienced in this situation. And it's crazy because she clearly has so many people in her circle that are just going to coddle her and allow her to think that she's right. Because even though she claimed, oh, I'm just a direct person, and I do apologize. Like she said that like once. It's like, clearly you don't, because then you went all in trying to embarrass him, call him out, gang up on him, talk over him, doing the exact same thing we saw you do all throughout the show.
And she didn't even want to apologize. It's like they had to pry it out of her. Nick and Vanessa are like, oh, okay, Hannah, is there anything specific you want to say to Nick about the way you acted? Like you said what you said, but is there anything specific? And she's like, well, you know, I could have delivered it better for sure. I could have delivered it better.
Like she's like, everything I said was facts. It's just
I said what I said. It was facts. But I could have delivered it better. Like I did learn that.
Pray for her spirit, because wow, like I would not want to be around this woman. Like she seems evil.
Very much so. Like it was scary. And I don't think there's an issue with genuinely being direct, but she's not being direct. She's just being a B word. And that's the issue. You're not saying direct things. And Nick called it out because he was like, look, your opinion is your opinion. I respect your opinion. If you have an opinion, you want to say it, you can say it. But what was confusing me is that some of the things you were saying to your friends, like, I like him because he's respectful, you were then turning around and throwing that in my face and saying that I'm not respectful. And then you were saying I'm not financially literate and I'm financially and intellectually below you. And it's like, at a point, it's not about facts. It's just about you being the B word. Because those are opinions at that point. You're just stating your very mean opinions about him to him. And it's like, that's not direct. That's just being mean. And I get they were trying to like form a marriage, but it just seemed very clear that she did not care for that, similar to how she was claiming that he was only here for the fame, because she does this big reveal. She thinks she eats it up. And Marissa, you know what's killing me? Marissa asked in the background, whispering for her what to say and shit.
Because it was like a lead into it. It was like a lead into it. Because it was real funny. I want to mention one thing that was real funny to me though. Because Garrett gonna look over to Nick and say, you know, you had way more patience than I would have had. And I was like, why would he say that? So basically, this is where Nick kind of goes into, you know, but I do feel like Hannah is getting way more hate online than she should be getting. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a positive moment. And then Hannah takes all of that and doubles it times 10.
She was like, why are you liking hate comments then? And I will say, why are you liking hate comments?
Because she was acting like that. I'd be liking them too.
And that's the thing, that this is what was trying to, this is where she tried to get the gotcha moment, because she's like, in front of the cameras, he's on some, y'all shouldn't be spreading hate, but behind the cameras, he's liking hate comments. And normally, if this was a normal person and not Hannah, I think the audience would have been like, okay, you clocking him on something. But because it's Hannah, she's delivering it in the most weird way ever. She just got done berating him and refused to apologize until she was forced to apologize. And then we get to this moment where Nick is seemingly being a good person and saying, look, Hannah shouldn't be getting this hate. Y'all shouldn't be hating on her. And she's trying to catch him. And it's like, honestly, babes, it's hard for me to be on your side when he's literally saying we should not be giving you hate, and you're like, well, then why are you doing this, this, and this if you don't want them to? Like, damn, I'm sorry. Should we be giving you hate? He's trying to tell us not to. Like, and it's like, you can't even allow him to be nice because you're being so mean. Damn.
Like, Marissa and Hannah clearly planned this out and thought this was the moment, because literally you can see Marissa whispering in Hannah's ear. And then she said, well, why are you liking hate comments? Well, why are you not saying that to? And literally, like, girl, she had to let Marissa put the battery in your pack. It's giving Marissa talking about some throw that drink. Throw that drink, Hannah.
Literally.
That damn drink.
Literally. So yes, very weird. And then this is when Hannah reveals. Marissa whispers in her ear one more time. And Hannah reveals, she's like, yeah, I didn't want to be that type of person, but we broke up, and me and my friends, we were like, yes, let's go through his stuff. First of all, weird.
First red flag. Like,
weird as fuck. Like,
yourself up. Why
you're telling on yourself. You're a weird, bad person. You broke up with this man. You're leaving the house, and you're going through his things, and you want me to side with you? I'm not gagging. So she's like, yeah, I read his notebook. And he written down 2 weeks before filming that he had 3 different goals. And one of the goals was he wants to be the most famous person on Love is Blind. Okay.
You thought we were going to be like,
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
They give the tea. I heard is that, we already know Hannah quit her job to be on the show. That's one. But now she has an agency and apparently living in LA. And it's like, well, who wants to be the influencer?
And the answer is everybody. Because you're on reality TV. Like, I'm not gagging that someone on reality TV, Netflix reality TV, wants to be a reality TV star. Oh my God, no way. No way he wants to be reality TV. I would have never known. Girl, what the fuck? And she thought we were gonna gag. And Marissa, she's trying to explain the point because obviously I'm not getting it. And she's like, well, it's kind of a slap in the face to us who are actually looking for love, for you to actually come on the show, and you just want it to be famous. Like, you just want fame from this. Like, I don't get it. And Nick was like, I mean, I wrote that down. That's just my goals. And it's like, y'all mad that he has goals and ambitions, but also, Hannah, you was acting like he didn't have no goals and ambitions. Let the man have a goal. God damn. I don't know. I don't give a damn that his goal was to be famous. Why else would you come on the show if you don't want to be famous?
And
I don't necessarily.
I'm trying to argue that basically he's being two different people, because we get into like the argument that essentially he was saying her looks were not the best. He was underwhelmed by her looks. Apparently he called her a grenade, and he was ranking her like a 5 out of 10.
Camera.
All happened off camera. And the idea is that Hannah is getting all of this hate from what you guys saw on camera, but basically Nick is just as bad as a person because he was saying all the things off camera. And it's like, I mean,
that alone shows the difference of the type of person you are. For Nick to be able to respectfully not say those things about this girl on camera versus you disrespectfully saying the shit on camera and to his face. Like, what do you want me to do?
We very obviously saw you were not attracted to him. And then as far as like trashing him to friends, we saw you trash him to the other girls in the show and your IRL friends. So it's like, even if Nick did do all of those things, that doesn't absolve you. Like, if anything, y'all are both just gonna get dragged. But the way the court of public opinion works, you're not gonna just be able to flip this whole thing and now get him dragged, and no one's gonna care that you did all of this. We have footages of you saying it. What you're saying is all alleged. Even if you have people to back it up, it's alleged. Like, your homegirl stuck up for you. Congratulations. I still don't think Nick is a terrible person. I think you're a terrible person because we saw you act towards this person verbally for weeks. And it's like, Nick did hold a lot of restraint. He did hold back a lot. And if he said some things off camera, then he said those things off camera. But it's like, do you want him to say to your face he thinks you're ugly?
But this is the thing, Lee. This is the thing. Hannah was never wrong for not being attracted to Nick. It's okay that you're not attracted to him. Nick is not wrong for not being attracted to Hannah. It's okay that you're not attracted to each other. That happens. The wrong thing that Hannah did was berate and bash him and belittle him over and over and over again. So you bringing up the fact that he also found you unattractive, like you found him unattractive, doesn't even the playing field, because when you found him unattractive, I didn't have a problem with you. That was not my problem with Hannah. I did not care that she found him unattractive. I would have probably been like, ooh, if I saw him because he's not Travis Kelce. And it's like vice versa. So it's like, to me, that was never even the problem. I don't care that she found him unattractive. I don't care that he found her unattractive. I don't give a fuck. That shit happens. And he went and told his homies. Okay, and him lying about it on stage was crazy. But once again, him preventing that negative rhetoric for you on camera is a positive in my opinion, because would you rather him go on camera saying to the cameras, Hannah is ugly as fuck and I would never date Hannah? No, you wouldn't.
But also too, I just feel like they tried to harp on a situation that was clearly very much in the beginning. Like if he did say those things, it doesn't seem like he was consistently saying those things throughout, because I feel like there would have been way more shit they were saying. Like he saw her, he thought she wasn't the prettiest, she also thought the exact same thing, and I'm sure she told y'all too, because it was written all over her face.
And all of the girls were like advocating for him to because it was clear that he was lying and he wasn't telling about it. Seemed like, but this is the thing, it seemed like every girl advocating was talking about the exact same conversation. And it's like, so that means there was one conversation where he made one comment about her and y'all all were told it from y'all boyfriends, and y'all were all talking about this one conversation because he had never said it to any of them. They could never bring up a different instance. It was one instance. He probably called her a 5 and a grenade, rightfully so, no shade. And it's got told back to all the girls. And I get in the moment, if I was one of the people on stage and he was trying to lie and say he didn't say that, I would have been like, okay, you're lying. You did say that. So I get that part. But also the issue is they're trying to make it seem like he's a bad person for not being physically attracted to her off rip. And it's like, he's not. So I don't care. Like he's not, so I don't care. And Hannah's not a bad person for not liking him, so I don't care. So this doesn't make me feel bad. And then Marissa harping on this moment, like, but you were different off camera than you were on camera. And Nick was like, you just said that we had conversations off camera and I was still a nice guy. So what are you talking about? And she's like, yes, that's true. We did have conversations and you were still a nice guy. But this proves it. It's like, what are y'all, Mystery Inc? It's like they were trying to unveil this villain and he's not a villain. It's like Marissa's getting caught up in saying that he was nice off camera, but also he was different. Who cares if he's different off camera, on camera? Why would you go on camera and be the same way? That don't even make sense. Like, I don't care. They weren't saying
I don't really get it. And Marissa was way too fucking involved. Like that one moment he was like, oh, I don't think anyone on this couch except for Hannah could say I'm not a good guy. She was like, well, me too. It's like, girl, you wanna be involved so motherfucking bad, girl. Like this is not your drama.
And I wish here we did get, because we got the girls jumping in. We got Ramses finally admitting and Steven admitting that he said it. But I kind of wish we got more of the opinion side from the people, because the only person who voiced their opinion about what's that girl, Hannah, was Garrett. But he just said it. He just spoke. They didn't ask him a question. I wish the host would have asked the rest of the cast members and not AD, damn it, how they felt.
Garrett low-key a real one, because Garrett was like, look, this conversation is immature. Because it was just like a back and forth, he said, she said. And it's like they are trying to villainize him for something that was very much small, and he did not clearly take that with him throughout the experiment. And like it goes back to, they're just trying to basically make the public see that Nick was basically just as bad as Hannah, and that's impossible because Hannah berated him, talked bad about him to his face and behind his back for weeks. We saw that, and that you can't replace that. And him being not attracted to her, him even calling her a grenade, one conversation when he first saw her, is not equal to all the things that she did. It's just not. And we're not going to see him as much of a terrible person as you. And the fact that they were really trying to come up with this scheme to make this happen is it's crazy. And it's like she needs to get from around people who keep coddling her personality, because she's gonna run into somebody that's not gonna put up with it, and I hate to see that day.
But as a host, no shade to the host. As a host, why wouldn't you ask Hannah after she brings this up? Why wouldn't you ask, okay, Hannah, you didn't find Nick attractive, so what's the problem with him saying that you weren't attractive? Like, I feel like we didn't get deep enough into that part of it. Like, what are you trying to do? Basically, what are you trying to do here, Hannah? Hannah, now what? Now what? You've exposed that he didn't find you attractive. We know from the video footages you didn't find him attractive. Let's roll the clip. And boom, rolls the clip.
What's funny is that they really tried to do this to like get the heat off Hannah, and people started hating her more. She started getting dragged more. Like y'all made it worse, because you cannot defend this girl. She should have just took his apology and kept it moving, because that would have been better for her.
The fact that they came in, like, no other couple when they were having their disagreements, did one of them try to throw something in to make them seem like a bad person? It seemed like she intentionally planned to come on the reunion and intentionally throw this information out to intentionally make him seem like a bad person. And all that does is show your character. When Alex and Tim were arguing, they were genuinely passionately arguing about what was occurring. They weren't trying to throw in extra information in order to make the other person look bad. They're just trying to explain their perspectives. And this moment went from her explaining her perspective to her trying to make him look bad, because she also threw in, and you were texting another, why are there girls in my DMs telling me that you were trying to fly them out? He said, okay.
What does that have to do with anything?
Like, you're just trying to throw out shit to make him seem like a bad guy. He's not, and it's okay. And that's the thing. Why can't Hannah just be okay with the fact that he's not a bad guy?
Because everyone is berating her, and she started throwing, but you were making me jealous. You were making me insecure. And it's like, girl, he wasn't making you do anything.
The host literally asked her, are you secure? And she said, I'm going to start crying. Because you're not.
And that's the real problem. That's where all of this comes from.
Girl, but we move. We also get asked about Katie, because Hannah has the segment where she said,
girl, her best friend for a year that she met on the show.
And she's like, Katie, I don't know why I said that. I was just saying anything. Katie was like, well, girl, it hurt my feelings. But
maybe Nick was just saying anything.
Uh-oh.
Like, she has an excuse for everything that she said, but why can't he have an excuse for the one thing that he said about you? But we saw that on the show when he made that joke back at her, and she was like, I don't think you know how to joke properly.
Yeah,
she can dish it, but she can't take it, and that's point blank in the period. And the fact that Marissa, all of them sat out there really trying to defend this girl, like she just is just this victim, is insane to me. But I guess girl code, work it out.
But no, I would just feel weird. I ain't a girl, but I would, if I was Hannah and she was calling out the fact that Nick was lying about saying that, I would say, Nick, you did say that, but Hannah, you also said that. Like, I feel like one of the girls, I would have felt a little better if they would have put it all on the floor. Because even if Nick said that, Hannah's trying to make him seem like a bad guy for that, which is why I kind of feel like Ramses was trying to stay out of it. Steven didn't say anything till he got asked, because it's like, y'all trying to make this man seem like a bad guy. And he's not a bad guy just for saying the girl is a grenade. Sorry. But anyways, we move forward. Next was Leo and Brittany. They're not married.
Leo and Brittany, I mean, this is a situation that was really, really fun in the first 6 episodes because they were a part of the show. They didn't do the honeymoon. They didn't do the house. They didn't do the parents' visit.
They didn't pass go.
We don't know anything about them. And so it wasn't interesting. I don't think they were needed at this reunion. I don't think they brought much. Leo is very apologetic about everything that happened on the show. I've been seeing his social media like he's making a joke out of it. They're clearly cool. Brittany clearly doesn't care that much. I just feel like I didn't need to see this, because if they weren't going to come and he wasn't going to be the same awkward, dramatic person on the show, then it wasn't going to be interesting, and he wasn't, so it wasn't interesting. Like, it was only interesting in the pods because he just was so socially unaware of what was happening. But now that he knows everything, like, he's not going to give us the show that we basically want. So I just feel like they weren't needed.
Yeah, we didn't need it. And we could have spent more time on other situations. I know Ashley and Tyler weren't going to talk more about their situation. Marissa seemed like she didn't have any smoke for that. And we exhausted the Hannah and Nick thing. But with Alex and Tim, they got cut off early. Like, they were still continuing to argue, and they kind of were like, okay, we're going to move forward from this. Y'all clearly have stuff to hash out. And it's like, no shade. That was the most interesting part of the reunion. So instead of us talking to Leo and Brittany, we could have just had more of that. In my opinion, I would have been fine with that, because they were still going back and forth. Let me see them go back and forth rather than see Leo and Brittany talking about nothing. But
and then the Night Owl Hour says they should have asked Leo what he thought about Hannah's personality, because they could have agree with him. That would have been a good question.
And where are the good questions?
Yeah, literally. And they did try to slide in like a moment between Leo and Hannah, and then he apologized and took accountability for that weird ass pod scene when he was trying to make her stay. But like I said, he took accountability. He made a joke about everything. It was cute. It just was not needed.
Yeah, no thoughts, just prayers. Next we had, oh God, they make me itch. Steven and Monica.
They are so funny, y'all. Steven is a compulsive liar. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
He has a disorder.
He has a disorder. He cannot stop lying. And then he's sitting here.
Like, what?
No one here wants to believe me. Whatever I say, you guys aren't going to believe me. And then he starts talking, and it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit.
He's like not even saying anything at a point. And then before we even got to him, he was like trying to slide himself in the conversation on one of these other situations. It's like, why are you sliding? They're like, we're going to get to you. Don't worry.
He's like, calm down.
Slow down, Savannah.
Slow down, Savannah.
Like, what? He was like, I kind of don't want y'all to get to me. Like, sir, what is this? What are you? You're weird. So anyways, they ask him about the sleep test. What went down really?
And then they have this whole picture of him at the sleep test, which I don't believe. I do not believe that
he went to the sleep test allegedly.
That was not from the same night. That was a sleep test that he was at maybe a few years ago, but not from the night in question. Be fucking for real. This is a perpetual liar. I'm telling you. Now the story is, this old friend that I met. It was an old friend that he only met on Instagram that he didn't talk to that much, but she had his number and a text thread went for years. Yeah. So basically, she was talking about some old things, and then she randomly went into her fetishes. And you know, I inquired more about that. So it was a really innocent conversation. I just
like, what?
It's like, what are you talking about? Like, please stop using them. And I want to know what the fetishes are. Monica leaked the fetishes.
I want to know what they are too.
I'm curious.
And I like Monica's. I think Monica responded the best she could because she basically was like, "Okay." Honestly, like she said what she said. She said, "Well, he mentions how me and Monica we had a date," and she was like, "We had a dinner." And he's like, "Yeah, we had a dinner," and then I wrote her a letter, and she's like, "Okay, see, this is my thing. You just wrote the letter so that you could bring it up here and you could seem like a good guy." Immediately when you gave me the letter, I literally thought, is he going to bring this up? And the first chance you got, you brought it up. So what is that, weirdo?
It was like for our parents too. Yeah. So it's like, he's definitely, he's just like, I feel sorry for anyone who is in a relationship with him because I think that he's a liar. He's a manipulator and he's sloppy with it too. Like there was one part where he tried to justify, oh yeah, I kept saying I need a password. And it's because I wanted you to see what I'm doing. Like if I'm doing something bad, I deserve to be caught. And that's essentially what happened. And
she was like, just don't do something bad, right?
Like something is seriously wrong with this man. Like
like literally what? But the host ended up asking Monica, they're like, did you have rose-colored glasses on? Because he literally told you he was a cheater. So what's that? And she basically explains, she's dated a bunch of people who've been cheaters. They've never mentioned it to her. They always kept it a secret. So him revealing it made it seem like he was a little more mature. And that's the thing. He makes sure that he says the right things because even when he always like, I was wrong. You're right. I apologize. That was on me. It was my fault.
He doesn't do it in good faith because he doesn't have a person that's going to say that and still go do it. Because I think it's compulsive. I think he's a compulsive liar and a compulsive cheater. Like this man is so
compulsive sexually. He has a compulsion issue. He over compulsion. What 7 deadly sin is that? Greed.
Maybe?
Calm that.
Gluttony, maybe.
Gluttony is food. Is it only food?
You can gluttony materialize material things.
Wouldn't that be greed?
I guess.
We gotta Google that. Now I'm interested. It might be gluttony. He just overindulges, is the point. He overindulges.
Look, the definition of gluttony is habitual greed or excess in eating.
There you go. Gluttony. Ugh. So he needs to get that checked out. He definitely does need to go see a therapist. But yeah, I like that Monica.
He keep lying and say he did. Like, you ain't seeing no therapist. Like what? It's so funny because when I hear him talk, it's clown music. It's straight up clown music. Y'all aren't gonna believe me, but she texted me and like, what?
And no one's gonna believe me. Oh, you're not gonna believe me.
It got so weird because at first it was someone you didn't know that well, but then it was a friend you known for years that messaged you on Instagram, but y'all were texting on iMessage. It's like, what?
Child. But yeah, I did like the way Monica handled it because she responded to that one thing about the letter because he's a weirdo. And then after he basically said what he said, she was like, okay. Like, okay. And she claimed she didn't have rose-colored glasses on, like I said, but she did. But that was really it.
She said no to that. She was just basically trying to say like, oh, he made me comfortable. I always hate when they like, there's more conversation that you guys didn't see. Girl, we saw fucking enough.
We saw enough.
And what he said was a fuck enough. Okay, read between the lines, mama. I don't care if he talked to you for 60 hours after telling you he was a cheater. He told you he was a cheater. Drop it off. What else do you want, mama?
Child.
This is one of the manipulative people where it's like he's gonna come in all nice, all sweet, but unlike Tyler,
he gave her all the information she needed. He gave her everything she needed to know. He's overly sexual, and he's a cheater, and he's a habitual liar.
And he voted for Trump.
And he called
Trump. You what he called her again?
Not a jigaboo. What was it?
Where did jigaboo come from?
What was it? It was something along those. A mutt.
Even worse.
Like it was very close.
They should have asked them about that, Monica. See,
they're not real.
We need some good hosts.
They're not real.
We need literally. This is what Andy Cohen does. And when I watch the Real Housewives reunions, I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but sometimes those little questions from the audience be shit the producers and Andy came up with. I know for a fact all of those questions are not from audience members. They should have said, "Well, we have questions from the audience."
I like
Steven, that. What were you thinking when you called Monica a mutt?
Oh, that's a good way to ask the
director. Like
that's why Vanessa got in trouble that first time, because she was putting too much of her personal information, and she should have said, "We have a question from the audience." Yep.
Ooh, Monica and Steven, there's not much else to talk about them. Like this was a shit show from the very beginning. Them being here is almost as irrelevant as Leo and Brittany being here.
I agree.
However, at least there's a little bit funnier still because Steven is the most unserious, manipulating, lying, cheating person ever.
He scares me.
He scares me. He really
genuinely frightens me. I'm afraid.
What's crazy is that he doesn't seem like. Usually there's like a dark energy with people with these qualities, and he is so like
it's a clown energy.
It's like very clownish. Like it's very see-through. It's like I feel like he's been caught so many times he doesn't even care. It's like I'm sorry, you're right. I'll go. And he goes to the next person and then do it again. Like I'm very curious, like what does Steven like? He's somewhere chained and gagged right now. I know he is.
Oh my god,
whipped. I know he is right this moment. Like I feel like he be doing what? I feel like he be doing some crazy shit on a daily basis. Like,
and with that, we gonna move forward. I do agree though. This one is a heavy weight on my shoulder.
Can someone okay? And Pharaoh is definitely going to do his due diligence explaining it because
I'm gonna try my best.
When I tell you, I got confused.
I'm going to try my best.
The timeline of events, it got so twisty-turvy. I was like, "Ooh, okay." But we here.
So let's try to explain because the argument is based around the history of what occurred within a span of certain days. Okay. So first of all, they had the situation in Mexico, and we can actually talk about that first because that's what they talked about first. The situation in Mexico off camera. Why was that off camera? I kind of get the other situations. They were in the apartments. Y'all were at Mexico. Y'all knew they were together. Anyways.
They need to get better camera coverage in season 8. Sure.
Right. But off camera, they had the argument where they were at Mexico. Alex was leaving and she wasn't talking to Tim. They kind of explain it more. So Alex says what happened was a week before she got on the show, her dad was admitted into rehab and she had left her family and she's very close to her family. She was feeling homesick and she needed space and she didn't feel like she was given that space. So that is her side of the story. Tim says he was just concerned because his wife wasn't really talking to him and explaining to him. And then he came upstairs to the bathroom and he saw her crying on the floor. So he was just trying to understand what was going on.
And can we pause here really quickly? Because I understand this portion of it. And I do feel like in both scenarios, I see where the other person may have been wrong because we realize we see in the episode that it comes out that basically he was assuming that he was the problem. He was approaching it in that manner. And Alex, she was so distraught and emotional in the time that she just didn't want to speak on it. I feel like Alex, it could have been very simple to say, look, I'm not feeling it right now. I just need some time. Go away. And I also feel like Tim could have not assumed it was about him and just reacted in a certain way. But I think this is where I get lost because we know that she covers his mouth because he keeps talking, and we know that she calls him a little bitch. What'd she say?
Yeah.
But she says she called him a little bitch because he was being basically aggressive, berating, and yelling at her, putting his finger in his face.
Mm-hmm.
I was confused. How did that even get kicked up? Like, did they start arguing because she didn't communicate?
That's my issue.
Yelling, so production had to come and calm it down. Did he start yelling because you placed the hand over his mouth and he wouldn't stop questioning you about him? Like, I just kept getting confused on what happened when.
I want to know that too, because my issue is, or this was where I was getting confused, because Tim, if you're trying to understand what's wrong with your wife and you see her crying on the bathroom floor, I don't see how you could even behoove yourself to start arguing with your soon-to-be wife who is crying on the floor. I get she's not explaining her position, and I do think she's wrong for that. She could definitely communicate more, but I'm trying to put myself in that position. If my partner is in there, if they weren't talking to me and I see them in there crying, there ain't no way that conversation is going to end with me arguing with them. Literally. Whether I did raise my voice or not, I'm not going to end up arguing with them. I'm going to be like, damn, is you okay? Like, my whole guard is going to come down. From what I'm getting from this is that he was still upset at her for not communicating with her as she's crying on the floor. And that's when they got into the situation where she's trying to explain her point. He's not listening. She covers his mouth. And then it escalates. But my thing is, I feel like what she was saying has merit. She's like, Tim, it always just has to be on your time. And it's like, at that time, I didn't feel like talking and I was crying, and that's okay. And it doesn't have to be when you want it. And I know there's people out there, I've met people where it's like, they don't feel like comfortable. Sometimes I do this, where it's like, I don't feel comfortable talking about it later. I want to talk about it now. But if the other person doesn't want to talk about it right now, then you can't force them to talk about it right now. And I think that's where the problem started, because he's getting mad, but she's crying and sad. And now y'all are arguing.
Okay. So, and that's the thing, it's off camera. So I'm trying to like picture in my head. So you think that he went, well, not that you think that, but basically, are you gleaning that he went to the bathroom, he saw her crying on the floor?
Yeah.
He was trying to get the answer as to why she was so mad or why she was upset. And instead of answering, she was just deflecting, and then she did this.
Yeah. Like, she was probably just, I just don't want to talk about it right now. He was like, you have to talk about it.
And he was like, stop. You're not going to put your hand in my...
Don't disrespect me.
She said that he was yelling and putting the finger. And he was like, and I wasn't yelling. My voice projects, which I will say, Tim, your voice doesn't project. So, because he has a very calm tone.
He does. It doesn't project.
So if she said you were yelling, mama... You had to be,
and the producers had to come in the room to calm you down. You were excited.
Did she get upset because she put his hand over her mouth, and then she said that's why she called him a little bitch? And he also is saying that that's not what happened, and that's why I just keep getting confused, because it's like it is a lot of he said, she said, and you were right in the beginning of the podcast when you said the hosts were not guiding this conversation. And I do want to put up a comment that NC said, V cutting Al and Tim infuriated me in another example of how she can't host. She couldn't take the black people arguing, did they tell them to discuss it off stage? Girl, this is the reunion. I agree with that. It's like they didn't want to interject.
Like, I don't even know what they didn't want. Like, they were hashing it out.
We literally just saw them interject several times during the Hannah and Nick conversation, and I think that's why it was so fleshed out. They kept asking Nick, what do you think? Hannah, what do you think? They kept going back and forth. With Alex and Tim, it was like they let them argue. It went back and forth, and then it went nowhere.
They have zero guiding skills. I think they got scared. Like, I don't think they were comfortable with guiding that type of conversation. But if you're going to be the host of the reunion, you should be comfortable enough to be like, okay, it's getting a little heated, so let me ask Alex, from your perspective, are you saying that Tim is lying about, like, guide it to where they aren't getting so heated to where you don't have to cut it off? Terrible host. No shade. But
like NC said, to say discuss it off screen, girl, we've had enough off screen discussions, mama.
What?
We're at the reunion. I want to hear them talk about it. And I want to get like a clear understanding, because even to this day, I do feel like both of them had issues in a relationship. I do think by the end of it, I'm more team Alex, but I do feel like I don't have a full story of either of their POVs because most of the issues weren't on camera. Like, I would love to see that discussion, because we could take a more clear side, honestly, because Pharaoh hasn't seen it. My other girlfriend that we was watching it with, she hasn't seen it either. But I've been seeing a lot of pro Tim supporters on my social media. And I was confused at first, but I was reading some of their responses, and I'm like, well, I can see how you can come to this conclusion based off what we've seen. And I feel like what we've seen is just so,
we don't have enough
mixy. Like, I just hate how it's like so all over the place.
Yeah, but I do think that's how that escalated. Her putting a hand on him out, he escalated. He got loud. But and then this is the part where he talks about how he never wanted to be seen as this aggressive black man. And respect to that. I respect not wanting to be seen that way. However, you also should just not be that way, And for what she was saying, and from her saying that the producers had to come in and you raise your voice, you can't not be seen as an aggressive black man by lying and saying you weren't yelling. You can't lie and say you weren't yelling to not be seen that way. You have to be honest with how you actually acted and explain that. And Alex was like, "You're not gonna lie. You definitely were yelling." And then he didn't really re-deny it. He didn't disclaim. But then he did. And that's the thing. That's why I was getting confused, because it's like he was trying to say he wasn't yelling, but then when Alex said, "Yes, you were," the producers got pulled in. He didn't say the producers didn't get pulled in. So it's like the producers did get pulled in. Because you didn't say they didn't, and you probably would have in this moment.
Hearing more about the situation, it's like I definitely feel like they should have just cut it off then, because this did feel like a very, very toxic situation, and they should have cut it off. But Alex wanted to keep going, but I feel like Tim emotionally checked out at that point. I think he was done. And because he'd already said about like he had these like certain boundaries, and he doesn't argue and do things like that. So the fact that was happening so soon after the pause, I just feel like he was definitely done at that moment, and it should have been a mature. Well, I will say he did try to leave, so I was going to say it should be a mature conversation to like end it. He did try that, it didn't, but he really should have just stood on business then, because he does look like a bad person in so many people's eyes of the way it happened later on. Because it's like, why are we dragging this out? But same to Alex too. I feel like Alex, girl, after all of that, you shouldn't have even wanted to continue with it.
I think for her,
I want to be done. Let's be done, because it just seems like a really crazy situation, especially if he's yelling and pointing in your face like no, like they both should have been like, we're done.
I think for her, things bother her a little bit less than they bother him, and I think in that moment she was genuinely okay with proceeding the relationship, and I think she could have achieved that. I think Tim, he's not okay with that,
and that's the issue. I feel like a lot of sometimes men be pretending in the moment. Like I feel like maybe he felt like this is something I can get over, but you knew it wasn't. And I feel like saying with like Ramses and his relationship with Marissa, it's like you're
trying to trick yourself. It's okay,
like, because I do it myself sometimes. I'm like, girl, I want to do this. No, I don't,
and you don't, and that's okay.
And I feel like women, when it comes to relationships, like a lot of them love hard and they love with all of themselves. So if you're not willing to do that, then it's really best for you to cut it off, because I do feel like Alex would have still been able to love him with all of her heart, same the way Marissa did Ramses. But if you're not able to do that, like, you have to be mature enough to realize it needs to be cut off then. And that's why I do respect him a little bit, because he still did come to that conclusion, and he did later on. I just think the way it happened at the last point, the second time it happened, was just weird.
So let's get into the second situation when she took the nap, child, because that one was a little bit more confusing with the timeline. So from my understanding, why
did you take a nap? I was tired. God,
first, what occurred?
Wait, actually, you know what? Pause real quick. I have a question, and people in the chat, answer please. Do y'all think it's disrespectful?
This is a question.
Take away everything out of it. Take everything out of it. Do you think it's disrespectful if your significant other parents is over to take a nap? Because me and Pharaoh talked about this in our friend group, and
we had different opinions.
We had different opinions. I felt like it's not a big deal. Like, if my significant other needed to take a nap and my mama was here, I wouldn't have minded. But they felt like it is something disrespectful. If my parents are over, you should be up and active with them the entire time.
Yeah, that's
so. I would love to hear some more opinions on that, because I take the opinion of like, it's not a big deal. It's a sleep. It's a nap. Like, she's tired, clearly. Like, I would need to know that she has work. If you're sleeping, you're tired.
I would need to know. Like, I would definitely need to know for my significant other to be over there. That would be that's very interesting. Okay, boom. Ashley Williams says, no, been married for almost 10 years. That has never been.
Ashley, 10 years.
It's disrespectful of doing it without announcing it. Say you're excusing yourself for a bit and say you're going to work later. No, if they drove 10 hours, they need a nap too. Everybody goes to sleep.
It's nap time.
Period.
Yeah. I feel like, and that's when it kind of goes back to like how, because I remember I kept saying when our friends were talking about it, like, if it was an issue to that extent, it should have been communicated. But then the question goes of like, how would you be able to communicate this situation before it happened? Like, this is something that you can talk about before, like, hey, don't go sleep around my parents. Like, it kind of had to happen in the moment. And it's like, how would you feel about that person after it happened?
Yeah. Because for me, I feel like, and that's the thing, I think what Tim is doing is he's expecting the person that he's going to be with to have the same ideas of morals as he does. Because for me, if me and my partner were meeting my parents for the first time, we talked for a bit, and me and my parents are all still out in the living room, and they just walk away and go take a nap, I am gonna be feeling some type of way about that, because where did you go? Now, and that's the thing. I wish we knew more about this situation, because I can't tell if Alex just disappeared and took a nap, or if Alex told them she was taking a nap and then left, because I do think that's a little bit different. If they were telling me, I'm tired, I have work, and then they went to take a nap, that's very different now that I'm thinking about it, because I was always assuming Alex literally just ducked off and went to sleep. And to me, that's a little bit different than her letting me know, hey, I got work in 2 hours. I'm gonna go take a quick nap. Love meeting y'all. Bye. So I'm wondering how it happened, and we don't get to fucking know, because nothing was on camera. So there's that. Oh, she did tell them the parents were okay. Tim had an issue after the fact. See, that's weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily subscribe to that. Honestly, if they're still in a fresh relationship, yes, you should be up and at them. But if y'all been together for 5+ years, you should care. I agree. I kind of feel like my particular issue is if it's the first time you're meeting my parents,
right?
Because if you've been met them, I don't give a fuck. But if it's the first time meeting my parents, that's a little crazy. In an interview, Alex specifically said she asked his parents if they were okay with her napping before going to work, and they said yes.
Oh. Well,
I do believe that. And
I mean, because what type of rude person would just get up and leave?
Exactly. Like, and that's why he was trying to like make her seem, it seemed. And I will say Alex does seem nonchalant. So I did believe that she could have just ducked off and went to bed. I wouldn't have been surprised. But her specifically asking is an important detail. So
and with Tim, I mean, we saw with his house, like the way everything had a place. He seems like a very put together person. And it does give very much like my way or the highway. It has to go a certain way, mama, or it's going to be a problem.
You know what? I do agree with this. The Night Owl says they could have told her it was cool, but later on told Tim that was rude. That is something parents do. Parents do that. So I will say that.
And she just went to bed. We drove 10 hours and she's going to bed.
I hear the conversation now. I hear the conversation now.
What's she going to bed for?
Yep. I hear it. So I think, but that's the thing. I was telling Lee when we were talking about it. I think if you value that part of your morals so much to where you feel like y'all should break it off for that, I feel like I don't have a problem with that. There's probably someone out there, we just saw in the chat, there's people out there who are going to agree with Tim. And I think what Tim needs, he's a very particular man is what it seems. Right. And I think he does need to find someone where 99% of their morals already align before the relationship. Because let's be honest, he's a little bit older. He has a full house. He's ready to settle down. Everything's in the right place. He just needs to find someone who is his exact perfect match. Is he going to be able to do that successfully? I'm wondering. Right. Because, you are still single, sir. But still, that's what he wants. That's what he needs. And I don't think he would have been comfortable in a relationship with Alex had those things not aligned. So it is what it is. But let's break down this timeline, Lee.
Right.
Night 1, Alex goes out to the club until 1 a.m. From my understanding, she did not tell Tim when she got home from this situation, or maybe it was another situation. I don't know. Throughout this entire process, she's not texting Tim often. So keep that in your mind. She went to the club at got home at 1 a.m. The very next day, Tim is meeting Alex's parents. This is when he shakes Alex's dad's hand and asks for his hand and his hand for the marriage, right? That was that morning. Later that evening, there was a dinner. At the dinner, Tim told Alex, I'm unsure of this relationship. Alex is befuddled because you literally just 3 hours ago told my dad that you respect him and you want to marry me. Boom. The very next day, Tim's parents drive 10 hours to go see Alex. She takes a nap because she has work that evening. She goes to work that evening. And from my understanding, the very next day, she doesn't text him until 10 a.m. And he's confused why it took her that long to text him or something along those lines. She's not texting him throughout the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think is happening.
This right here, Emo Woke said, Emo Wake?
I'm awake.
They're texting and missing each other because he isn't living at the shared apartment. And it seems like that's the case. They aren't living with each other. And I'm like, maybe it will be, more easy communication if y'all was like in the same space, because it didn't seem like they were in the same area to talk. And I do know there was a time that he posted a screenshot of her not responding to him.
Yeah.
But child, she's napping or at work. I can see this is another issue where I'm like, I see both sides, and I think it goes back to them. Maybe they're just not compatible with each other.
Yeah, that's what it is.
If I was Tim, I can see like, girl, I'm texting you. Because not even in a relationship, I'll be getting mad when friends and shit don't text me back. Bitch, I just texted you. And you send shit on Instagram, and I just text, girl, what? You up? You on that phone 24/7. You can reply to a motherfucking text. But also see on her perspective of like, I just didn't think it was a big deal. So I just think their moral compasses are way off.
Yeah, it's a compatibleness, because with my ex, we had an issue where I wasn't texting enough. I thought I was texting a lot, which is what's crazy. But from their perspective, I wasn't texting enough. So it's like, that was just really an issue in what you were expecting from that situation. And it's hard to get past that, because it's like, well, girl, I'm not going to start texting you more. I'm texting you as much as I want to. And Alex explained, she's like, I'm more of an on the phone person. Same with me. I'm more of an on the phone person. If you're more of a text person and I'm more of an on the phone person, you're not going to get that text message and I'm not going to get that phone call. So now we both ain't shit. And I think that's really the issue. They both ain't shit. Find somebody else. They both needed another person. They're just not compatible. It really is. So,
and I think basically, when it goes back to that dinner that they had after meeting her father, the next day meeting his parents, I can definitely see why she wasn't as enthused to be around them, to be in the environment, because he just dropped this bomb. But I think that also goes back to open communication on both ends. Like maybe that should have been addressed before the family came, or something like that, because they were both trying to basically placate the situation, and it's like both of y'all were getting over it.
And Lee, where the fuck were the host? Tim says, or Alex says, Tim, you said you were unsure at the dinner we had last night. Me as the host, Tim, why were you unsure at that moment?
We didn't get that answer.
Meeting her parents. We didn't get that question. Where the fuck is the host at? That is because I was just thinking, I wonder why he was unsure at that moment. We don't know, because they didn't fucking ask. And then they cut the shit off short because they started going back and forth about the situation.
Because and then mind you, they haven't talked since they broke up on the show. And they're like, I know you guys haven't spoken, but if you guys would just handle it off camera, because we don't want to talk about it anymore. That's basically what they said.
Because Tim, why did you have doubts at that moment? Why did you have doubts? We want to know. Explain your doubts. And then once he explains his doubts, because that's my thing. I was telling Lee, I was like, the reason I didn't like this reunion is because I feel like we didn't get any new information. I feel like we weren't getting any solutions. And it wasn't that I needed a solution. I just needed something to be reprimanded in some way, some more information. If they would have asked him, why were you having doubts then? Alex could have been like, well, you didn't say that. So now we get a new piece of information to where they can have a better understanding of what actually happened, instead of them arguing. If y'all would have guided the conversation, they wouldn't have just been bickering, because you could have asked probing questions to help them come to a better agreement or understanding. I don't think they would have resolved it, but still something. But terrible. Yeah. Boo, 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 boo. After this, we had a bunch of scenes with people I don't know. Jessica and Dex got a baby. Congratulations. Marshall and Nancy talked. Congratulations. I don't know these people. Like, who are these people? What? We move. Last but not least, last and most,
period,
Garrett and Taylor. Garrett looks good, y'all. Garrett looks good. Garrett looks good. Lee, does Garrett have on a toupee?
Don't do this man like that. No, because at first
I don't believe he does.
I don't think he does, but someone said that on TikTok, and I can't unsee it now. Like it honestly, it does slightly give wig, but
it's cute. Luscious. It's luscious.
It's really
look
cute.
At Taylor's hair and tell me she don't know what the fuck to do.
She know what she's doing.
She know what she's doing.
And
He
they
just
look
has
great
it
at the reunion.
He has it like, what's it called? Over his he's covering his hair over his hairline, so you don't really
it's
see
like
it.
you're doing the Nene thing.
I know because I do the same thing. Because really, this hairline, it goes like it's back there. I gotta use all this hair to cover it up, so it's not a wig. It's just placed specifically. But yeah, boom. They're doing great. They decided not to move to Florida or wherever they were going to move. I forgot where they were going to move, but they decided not to move there. They decided to compromise. Yes. And Taylor was like, yeah, my parents, I did want to be closer with them. We're going to have to work that out. But, when you're in a marriage, you kind of conglomerate and y'all become a unit. So we had to come up with a different type of compromise to where we could both just move to DC. So now they both live in DC instead of where Taylor was going to move to or whatever. So,
and I hope that doesn't become an issue later on. Like, I don't think it will be, but it seemed like she was dead set on moving, and now she's not. So I'm like, I wonder what that is, but they didn't harp too much on it, so clearly they figured it out. It seems.
Yeah, I think they're fine. They look great. I think they're gonna stay together forever. And this was just great. Honestly, it's just as always with them, no notes. Congratulations. Great marriage. Wonderful, beautiful gowns. They looked good. Taylor acted like she was finna step on the drag race runway.
Literally.
I was like, yes, queen.
And now that I think about it, like, they didn't focus that much on them on the actual reunion.
The one actual relationship. And then they did closing remarks for Ashley and Tyler too, but it's like they're not real. I wish they would have focused a little bit more on like, this is my thing. If I'm the host of Love is Blind and I got a successful relationship, what do you think the other couples could have did to try to achieve what y'all did? What would you say for future couples coming on this show, Garrett and Taylor, since y'all got married? Ask them questions, bro. What was we watching? Like, come on, really get into the nitty gritty, get into the details, because next season, if they would have watched this season, they could have saw, okay, Garrett and Taylor are the one successful couple. What did y'all do in the pods? What did y'all do in the pods to really make it work, guys? God damn. Taylor, what's something that you learned about him that you wish you learned about him earlier and you would suggest other people to like pry for more? Garrett, what's something about Taylor that something? Put me on a reunion.
You're eating this up.
Put me on the reunion.
You're eating this up.
Put me on the reunion. But
somebody other than Nick and Vanessa. Nick and Vanessa can do the pods, hosting and like the little voiceover. We don't need them at the reunion.
You know what Nick and Vanessa need?
What?
A podcast. They need to literally just have a separate Love is Blind podcast away from the show. Just cover this. Just do what we should switch places with them. Literally. I think they would do great on a podcast explaining their opinions, because I feel like there's a lot they want to say and they don't know how to ingratiate what they want to say into the interviews. When I be interviewing the Big Brother people, I get everything I want to say out. I'm going to slide a question in quickly about what I want to say. Okay. So Ashley, are you a bird? No, I'm playing. But no, for real.
My God. Like, they would have had you fired from the reality.
I wouldn't have said that. I would have said what I usually do, like on the interviews I be doing. I'd be like, a lot of the fans are saying
Actually, a lot of the fans are saying that you're a bird. How do you respond to that?
Like, Lord.
They're gonna be like, ain't no fan ask that shit.
I just been like, I've seen a lot of people were having a little bit backlash about the way that you responded to the situation. Do you think you were a little bit too coy and too understanding, or should you should have put your foot down a little bit more, because you don't have any kids. You don't have any kids. I don't know. Say something, but hey, we move. Overall, get better hosts. I do think I think the cast was I think the cast was good. I think the reunion had potential. The problem was the host. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It fell flat because of that. The real questions weren't getting asked, but I did hear a few rumors about these Love is Blind reunions before watching it, and I heard they don't really get down to the real nitty gritty, so I'm not 100% shocked. It was definitely interesting. I'm not a fan of too many reunion shows anymore for these reality shows, because honestly, it ends up being them just arguing about mess, which this is exactly what it was, but it was a little bit interesting because hearing them unpack like the drama is kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I had a good enough time. I did overall. I liked the show. I did enjoy this season. I think it's just an interesting part of my brain that these conversations pick, because I don't usually talk about like relationships.
Right. We're usually talking about like social strategy, alliances, and stuff like that. So being able to just talk about something as regular as relationships, it's fun. Like people aren't being eliminated. Like we're watching these people grow into a relationship with each other. So that's fun.
So stay tuned, y'all, for maybe future Love is Blind coverage for the next season.
They said next season is the 5-year anniversary, season 8, and they're gonna be in Minneapolis. So next Valentine's Day, you know, we may be here.
They need to come to Dallas.
I think they've come to Dallas before.
Come back. Sure, though. I'll do it. I'll do it. Put some gays in the house.
They need to. They really do. If they do a full gay season, I would be very tuned in for that.
That would be so cunt. They need to do that. But yeah, boom. Tune into that, y'all. This show is over, but we're still covering other shows. Check us out for the challenge coverage. Check us out for Survivor coverage. And we're starting our Big Brother Rewind coverage next week. So if you're into Big Brother, check that out as well. And bitch, thank you for keeping it real with the kingdom. We out. I know that's right. Bye. Mwah.